bringing you the stories of sport professionals across the region. My name is Evan Bates.
And my name's Sean Bessette.
And we are the Northwest Center for Sport podcast.
The Northwest Center for Sport, led by Director Sean Dahlin, is committed to advancing knowledge and opportunities for students to lead the sport industry into the future.
You can follow the Northwest Center for Sport by following at CWU_NWCS on Twitter, or by looking up the Northwest Center for Sport on LinkedIn and YouTube. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's 80 degrees here in Ellensburg, which is you'll love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Fun time to be a Seattle fan.
Absolutely.
Mariners are on the rise. Kraken broke unprecedented expectations with the season they had. Seattle rookie camp is getting underway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun stuff going on right now.
Absolutely. And if you can't tell, Evan's wearing a Mariners hat. I'm wearing a Mariners jersey.
Might be a little hint on who we are bringing on for today's special guest.
Absolutely. But we'll get into that in just a little bit here.
Yes.
First thing we wanted to talk about today was graduation.
Upcoming at the beginning of June.
June 9th, I believe. June 9th and 10th.
Yeah, graduation will be broken up into 3 days for anyone who...
2 days.
2 days, correct?
2 days, but 3 graduations.
3 graduation ceremonies. Yes, thank you. And this will be for anyone who's looking to show up, or if you're graduating and just don't know, good resource right here. So on Friday, June 9th, it will be the graduate hooding and commencement for
Master students,
thank you. That's going to happen at 6 p.m. in the Cirque, in the gymnasium here in the Cirque. So pretty cool.
And then on Saturday, we've got 2 ceremonies starting early at 9:30 a.m. That's with the College of Arts and Humanities and the College of the Sciences, followed by the PM ceremony, which includes the College of Business and the College of Education and Professional Studies. Mm-hmm. So when this episode comes out, you will have had an email sent to you by me and Sean Dahlin, basically asking for a photo from you.
For all of our students.
All of our students, really, as we try to spotlight you and your achievement graduating. So
make sure to look at Twitter and LinkedIn and see if you get highlighted.
And check your email too, because we would love to get a photo of you on the social media, so we can spotlight you.
Yeah, graduation's going to be cool. It's going to be sunny outside in Tomlinson. I'm looking forward to next year's graduation though, because over the summer, our athletic facilities will be putting in a video board that football, rugby, soccer will all be able to use. And for graduation purposes, that means we'll have a live camera rolling with everyone up on stage.
It'll elevate the experience.
Yeah, so that'll be cool next year. Unfortunately, not this year, but video board coming soon for graduation.
Yeah, looking ahead for a year. Well, I think that's all we got for graduation.
Yeah, Sean, let's get right into it.
Let's do it. We are very excited to announce today's podcast guest, who is a 2004 CWU graduate. She's a member of the Northwest Center for Sport Advisory Board and was named the Northwest Center for Sport Alumni of the Year last October. I am very pleased to welcome the Director of Sales Development and Group Sales with the Seattle Mariners, Liz McCloskey.
Liz, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We're very happy to have you on and to chat with us for a little bit today.
And a good time to do it too. Mariners are on like a 9 away game streak, so T-Mobile's kind of empty.
It is. We might be better off just playing on the road these days, which is okay. It's okay. Makes it a little easier for us here to do our day jobs.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
All
right. Liz, we'd love for you to talk about your role and connection with the Northwest Center for Sport and how you got involved.
Sure, absolutely. So what feels like a million years ago, Jeff Stinson reached out to me as a CWU alum when they had started to go down the path of where is there a sports business, sports management type role, type program at the campus that they could use. Obviously, it's helpful to have alumni like myself and others that are in sport to kind of help guide what would be useful and what would be helpful. And Jeff Stinson, picked my brain for quite a while. I had the ability to kind of meet a lot of students early on as part of the program, and kind of, where does it go? I think when it first started, there was maybe 5 to 10 students, and now we get an average of 15 to 20 students that are coming here to T-Mobile Park at least once a year to pick the brains of some of my staff members and myself. And then we also, I actually have an alum that currently works for me who, while she wasn't part of the program, now gets to be able to take her knowledge and pass that on to this group as well. And so, between Jeff and Sean Dahlin and the ability to kind of interact and network with them, we've been able to create a pretty cool and core link between the Mariners and CWU and kind of bring our alum together to help, hopefully, what will facilitate future Wildcats coming to be members of the Mariners family through the front office doors. So, I am thankful for this program as an alum. I would say that, and the big thing is, when I was at school, this program didn't exist. Sport wasn't something people thought anyone would go work towards, right? Whether, it's in my role as a salesperson or anything else. And so, I'm thankful I took the leap and was able to do it on my own, but I never want someone else to have to kind of go down the path of being lost and finding their way on their own and having the ability to guide them to get there.
I'm glad you mentioned that about being an alumni and being able to give back to programs like this. Just last fall, you were named Northwest Center for Sport Alumni of the Year. What does that honor mean to you, and how did you feel when you were told that you were receiving that award?
Yeah, I think, obviously, it was a great honor. I am a very humble person, and I don't like to brag about myself at all. And so Sean Dahlin, when he told me, he said, it's okay to smile. It's okay to be excited. And I said, yeah, I don't know why I'm getting it, but I sure appreciate the ability to have it. I was excited because it just shows the hard work that we've had over the years. And the hard work that I've done to be able to give back to a community that gave so much to me. And it was truly an honor, and it was very special to be able to get back on campus, see all the new buildings that currently exist on campus, and be able to see something that's pretty special that I can say I had a hand on in helping to create a program at CWU.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Oh, I want to learn a little bit more about you and how you got into sports at a young age, and how did it develop to where you're at today?
Sure. I grew up an athlete. I am one of 7 children. I have 5 brothers. Both my sister and I are competitive. All grew up playing 3 different sports, all at different times. And, sport has just always been a love for me. It brings together different communities and different groups that, have the ability to create something unique for somebody to experience. And so, during my time at CWU, I'll be honest, through my sophomore year, I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing, what was next for me. And I would say that's a common thing for a lot of people. But by the time I got into my junior year, I said, I think if I can pursue a career in sports, it would be probably something that, would make me the most happy, right? That's the thing, is you always want to find something that's going to bring joy and spark joy in your daily routine. So I ventured through the avenue of PR, public relations, and have a degree in public relations. And I was getting ready to graduate, and I had no idea where I was going. And as I mentioned earlier, it's without any kind of guide or direction, with a program like the Northwest Center for Sport being available to me, I had to dig in, and I had to figure out, how am I going to get here on my own? So I applied for a job with, at the time, an internship with the Supersonics and Storm, and said, okay, if this is where I'm going to start, this is where I'm going to go. And I was thankfully awarded that internship and spent 3 months working with them, kind of learning the ins and outs of what is the MBA and the WMBA, and really focusing on the client retention side of things with them. And when that 3 month, it kind of worked into that 3rd month, and I finally said, okay, let's look at what's next. And thankfully I had a connection to the Mariners. I had a line with a former employer that I had. And so I said, okay, I'm going to whip together my resume. Let's see what happens. If I get in, I get in. And thankfully, I was hired, what is now 19 years ago, which is crazy to think. And I was really low man on the totem pole. It was customer service. And so I came in to this organization just trying to grind it out and, get to know people inside and out of my department, understand the ins and outs of baseball, of Mariners baseball, and the organization as a whole, so that I could broaden my horizons in terms of what was next for me. And so, within the 19 years, I've had the ability to kind of run my own ship, if you would. About 10 years ago, I took over our group events world, where we created, our CWU Night that we host every year, which brings alumni, current students, friends and family all together to network for one night a year at T-Mobile Park. But just trying to create that unique, community feeling at T-Mobile Park was what really sparked my joy. And it really takes, a lot of hard work, a lot of digging, because you're trying to find the non-baseball fan and make them a baseball fan through these types of events and what we're doing. And you want to make sure that they come back every year so they have the best experience. So through the process of the last 19 years, really, to just sum it up, is, I dug in, I dug deep, and I worked hard to make sure that, no matter where I went or whatever my next step was, the person above me or my boss or anyone else knew I was the next best person for what was next for me.
Absolutely. When we were doing some research on you, on your LinkedIn, doing a little stalking, LinkedIn stalking, we saw that you coached at Bainbridge High School for 12 years, winning a softball state championship.
Yeah, your LinkedIn does your coaching career no justice. I mean, every year from 2006 to 2015, you made the state tournament. You had a title, couple final placements, and there's nothing about that on LinkedIn. It took a lot of digging in the WIA website. Like, come on, like that. I feel like that'd be something to be proud about a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. Now you guys are going to make me go back and change my LinkedIn. I appreciate that. That's why we need the young minds to update. I just want to make sure you worked hard to find it. So it's funny that you say that. So the first year I started working here, I got a call from my former athletic director. I graduated from Bainbridge High School. So I played, volleyball, basketball, and softball there. So I had some experience with the program, and I got a call the year I graduated, and I was moving into my role with the Mariners. From our athletic director that said, "Hey, I need a softball coach. You want to do it?" And I said, I just got hired by the Mariners. I said, I have to kind of have that conversation. They were totally about it. They were like, absolutely, go for it. Let's see what happens. And, in my mind, I said, I'm going to coach for a year because I was just getting started in my career. But I found a love of coaching. It took a couple of years to kind of rebuild the program. I came in after 12 seniors had graduated, so I had to rebuild from scratch what was the softball program, and we got to a really good place. And by year 2, I had a local gentleman in the community who did a lot with our Little League that looked at me and said, "If you do it right with the following freshmen that are coming in, by the time they're seniors, you will win a state championship." And knowing the history behind kind of the program and where we've gone, and state being, a far off distance point that we would love to get to, I said, okay, yeah, we'll see. But, when they were freshmen, that was their goal that they set out to do. And by 2009, we had a trophy in hand. So it was pretty cool to be a part of.
How hard was it to step away in 2015 when you were working for the Mariners and coaching at the same time?
Yeah. It was probably one of the hardest in my career that I've made to date, right? You always say, especially in coaching, what is the class you're going to walk away from, right? Because they're always kids, whether you've had them for a year, whether you've had them for 2 years, or even 3 years, right? You get to that point where there's a group of seniors and you're like, you've put all your time and effort into this group. Why walk away now? So it was one of the most hardest decisions I've made in my career. It took me a long time to say the words out loud.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you too, transitioning back to Central, and the question I want to ask every guest we have on this podcast is, how did your time at Central Washington University prepare you for where you're at today?
for sure. It challenged me. I will always say that, I think in anyone's life, whether you go to school locally, in state, out of state, whatever it may be, stepping out of your comfort zone is going to challenge you, right? And Ellensburg, if you think back well before your time, and before probably you even thought about going to Ellensburg yourself or knew what Ellensburg was.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't much in the town. So it truly challenged you to, right, make the best of your time there. And, I'm thankful for the relationships and the friendships that I created over the years that I was there, and the people that I'm still in touch with. I laugh because actually during the CWU event a couple weeks ago, I heard my name being called down the concourse, and I was like, I don't know, I recognize the voice. I go, but there's no way that's her. And I turned around, and sure enough, it was one of my RAs. And I was like, well, I haven't seen you in 19 years. So, I think anytime, whether, you're going 3,000 miles away from home, or you're going 2 hours over the mountain pass, right? It challenges you to become the best version of yourself, right? And really, that's my time at CWU was precious to me because of that.
Yeah. All right. Maybe we should move in more into the
CWU Night.
Yeah.
So, for our guests who aren't aware, one of our most recent events Northwest Center for Sport held was the CWU Night with the Mariners. Liz, can you talk about the role you played that you made that happen between the Northwest Center for Sport, Alumni Association, the Burg that also came out, what you did to help out?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is when I went down the event path of my career, really looking at every angle, and universities was a big piece of that. And I said, okay, let's start with my own, because we don't currently do a lot of business 100 years ago with CWU. But when Jeff Stinson and I said, okay, this can be a thing, it went from, what was 500 to 800 to now we're getting up over 1,500 alum and current students, and we're teetering on that 2,000 mark, which is great. And I think for this event, it's pretty special for me, because when I started it, you never know where something like this is going to take off to. But to be able to give back and to talk to students that get to come to the ballpark, to kind of give my experience both at CWU and here with the Mariners, and kind of help guide where they want to go, is a great opportunity. And the one plus I have is that as I mentioned, I have a staff member who has now taken on this event herself, who is an alumni, right? And so behind her guidance as well, I started the basis of it, and now she gets to continue that tradition. So it's pretty cool there, where you have two alumni that have the ability to work through. And I think it's just a sense of community, right? It's that one time a year where maybe not everybody, thinks about how great this opportunity could be, because I'm going to see somebody that I haven't seen in 5 years, and we're going to reconnect, and we're going to have a conversation, and it's going to be like old times. And, that 5-year period never existed between the two of us. But it's that experience that you get to create for the alumni, for current students, that you get a sense of pride and joy over, because you brought something together that normally they wouldn't have the ability to do.
Whether it's university nights or trying to get people out who aren't baseball fans, what do your day-to-day operations look like? What are you actively doing to pursue those people in group ticket sales?
Yeah, for us, it's important to kind of look at the community and what is happening, and what do people want to see happen at the ballpark, right? So we talk about that non-baseball fan and finding a way to tap into a unique community that they're involved with. I'll use Hello Kitty, for example, right? We started it in 2019. I thought, okay, we'll sell 1,000 tickets, 1,500 tickets, maybe, right? And now we're upwards of 2,000 to 2,500 tickets for this one unique event, where you have individuals who are collectors, right? Or are part of a community on the exterior of this building, probably half of them maybe wouldn't be baseball fans, but they come back every year because of this one experience they get at T-Mobile Park. And so for us, it's really tapping into the community groups and saying, what do you want to see happen, right? What are we not doing that maybe would drive someone to the ballpark? I mean, we've looked at everything from collectible items with Cal Raleigh Superman bobbleheads to Star Wars to Hello Kitty blankets and pants and bucket hats to, I mean, down to now we do jerseys for a lot of our alumni groups, which are flying off the shelves because of the community that you get with Mariners and whomever your alumni is. It's all tied together. And it's, we talk about one Mariners and it's one Mariners, it's one Washington, it's one Seattle. How do we bring everybody together to be a part of that? And this is the way to do that is you find that niche that no one thinks about, that you can create something around. And it takes maybe a year, right, to really fully get it to where you want to go. But once you get it there, it just continues to grow.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious, I know you've been in Western Washington almost, your entire life. I grew up Western Washington. But what makes Seattle unique, and how do you market the city to non-baseball consumers?
Yeah, absolutely. I say there's an advantage and there's a disadvantage to the state of Washington and being a sports fan, right? Because here in the summertime, there's so many other activities you could be doing. You could be hiking mountains, you could be going to a lake, you could be fishing, crabbing, you're on a boat, just enjoying it with your friends. And so we have to find a way to combat those objections in terms of coming to baseball games in the middle of the summer when it's a sunny, nice day in Seattle, the mountains are out and you'd rather be on a boat, right? So really it's just, for us, I always recommend to my teams, you're not selling the team, you're selling the experience, and the experience that you provide your customers is what's going to make them come back and what's really going to truly make them want to come to T-Mobile Park during those days where they could be on a boat, they could be hiking a mountain, right? But really just driving through to be like, we could have a 10-game homestand. If you can get people to come to 3, 4, 5 of those games, right? That's great. If you're looking at, you're not going to get them, you have season ticket members or they're full season ticket members, but these days they probably have 5 partners. So not even the main season ticket member isn't coming to every game, right? And so it's more the experience, and you sell the experience versus the product on the field, because that experience is what's going to keep driving them back. Winning helps always. We all know that. But in the end, it's truly the experience that we provide our customers that drives them back. And really, getting into businesses, getting into clientele, but getting into community groups to also help drive some of that attendance.
Would you say the Mariners ending their postseason drought makes your job easier?
I would.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes me sit a little more comfortable some days.
Sure.
But, I think we still have our challenges, right? I mean, everybody will say, okay, we did it last year. Can we do it again, right? Sure. Do we still have to prove ourselves? Absolutely. But just the pure excitement about what could be for the future of this team is what really is driving fans to come to the ballpark. I mean, this team's just fun, and they're fun to watch. They're exciting to be around. They're excited to be around the fans, which is pretty cool. It's very rare that you're like, you see the players actively engage and we need more fans in this ballpark. How do we get more people here? Because we get excited when they're here and they're excited, right? So, yeah, winning helps always, but sometimes that doesn't always happen.
Just recently, the Mariners debuted their City Connect jerseys, and in a couple months, the Mariners will be hosting All-Star Week and All-Star Weekend. What impact do these types of special events have on sales, and how does that change what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. The City Connect was pretty cool to see. Like, the community came together. We did some unique things. We went out into the community and we engaged our fans to be a part of something pretty special. And it just amplifies the excitement of Mariners baseball from the City Connect perspective, right? It just gives another unique, exciting type opportunity that we've opened the door to do some fun things with. All-Star, obviously, hasn't been to Seattle since 2001. And I will say, this is the first in my career that it's been here at T-Mobile Park. I had the opportunity to experience last year in LA just to see what it was like and take away notes of how we can be better here in Seattle. But having this marquee event for Major League Baseball is huge. I mean, it has grown our fan base tremendously, right? People want to be a part of it and they want to be here. And I think that with it being in Seattle, July is the best time to be in Seattle. We all know that for those of us that have lived here for a very long time, right? And so it just makes it amplify us that much more. And it has driven our ticket sales significantly, and people want to be a part of it, and they want to find any way into the ballpark as they can for this jewel event. And so, I've been talking All-Star for 2 years now. It's like a second job, I say. So
that's special, and it's something that I'm looking forward to as well.
Absolutely. I wish I could be there, but I mean, those ticket prices they're quite steep for a college student budget. I'll enjoy watching the home run derby from my couch, though. Absolutely.
That's fair.
I want to take it back to a time where maybe sales was not nearly as easy. And I hate talking about the pandemic, but I think it's fair to bring up COVID-19. And I want to ask how the pandemic impacted the Seattle Mariners sales strategy.
Sure. For us, it was hard, and it really allowed us to take a step back and kind of look and reimagine what our sales look like. Because obviously, as anyone knows, there was nobody at the ballpark. We had tens of thousands of cutouts and faces, but they didn't make noises. They didn't, right? They didn't participate in any, boat races, anything like that. And so it was a unique time for us. And some would say it's a blessing, but some would say it's a curse at the same time, because it kind of changed the way, a lot of fans looked at how do they spend their time? What do they do, right? With their free time, and how important is it to be at sporting events versus just out free to do whatever you wanted. So for us, we had to take a step back. We restructured, our whole department, and kind of looked at every product that we had and said, okay, how does it look like for memberships? What does it look like groups? I think groups suffered the most for the longest time because people weren't comfortable coming in large droves of people. And totally fair to say, it just is part of the business. And it's what are you comfortable with? I think COVID still plays an impact today, and it probably will this entire year. And I think 2024 is where we get in a better spot where that's no longer an objective for us. But it made us think about it, think twice, like, okay, how are we pursuing our day-to-day as it relates to sales? It's a bigger focus on the membership side because it's single family type events where you're comfortable sitting with the people that you live with, right? Where groups, it had to be more strategic, and it was more or less, okay, if you focus more on families, right? Families of, 5 or more, okay, how can we get that family of 5 or more that maybe spent time with another family that had 5, right? How do we get them together and feel comfortable doing something here at T-Mobile Park? But it also made us appreciate what we do on a daily basis, because it for so long, some people take it for granted, and it's like, okay, well, let's take that step back and let's look at really how we can make this a better experience overall for people.
Is there anything that you guys found doing differently, cutting back or doing more of to make those adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we knew we couldn't sell group tickets. So we cut back on, we couldn't go outwards and be like, hey, bring 100 people to the ballpark. It's just not going to work.
Right.
So those of us that focus on groups, put that to the side, to then focus a little bit more on memberships and find a way to sell more of those memberships so that some way, somehow you could be a part of Mariners baseball, but it wouldn't directly impact a large group of people.
How does your department use data analytics to stay on top of sales trends and enhance the fan experience?
Yeah, it's a big piece of our business, right? It's become a greater piece of our business as well since COVID, because really we have an analytics team that strategically looks at and focuses on what are the buying trends in Seattle, where, especially as it relates to Mariners baseball, where are we seeing more focus? Is it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Okay, great. We have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday covered. We know people are coming to the ballpark. How do we deal with Monday through Thursday? And what does our consumer base look like Monday through Thursday? Less families, probably, right? So more targeting, single young college kids, maybe Monday through Thursday, but then you deal with the objection of school. And so really they take a look at everything, whether it's, for us this year, 18 to 24 is a big demographic that we want to focus on and try and find a way to where's that missing piece, right? How do we get into that 18 to 24 demographic, right? It's just kind of, you're entering your college years, you're graduating with your master's, whatever it may be, but make them become part of the group. And that's been a big focus for us this year with our analytics team, is like, where are we missing on that mark and where can we be better for that mark? And so really diving into some of those numbers and going out and after these groups. We have town halls, right, to talk to our fans and say, give us feedback. What do you want to see happen, right? And our analytics teams takes that information and be like, okay, here's where we're hearing we consistently need to be better, or here's where we're consistently hearing things that they'd like to see that we're not currently doing, right? And then we take those into consideration and we turn around and say, okay, you asked for it, here it is. Let's bring it to our community.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to ask going forward, what do you see as the biggest challenges and opportunities facing the Seattle Mariners sales department, and how do you plan on tackling them?
I think, we talked about the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. And that has been a huge opportunity for us, right? But it's not going to be in Seattle every year.
Correct.
So, I think going into 24, we will have a challenge in and of itself from the perspective of let's retain all of our season ticket members. How do we go best about retaining our season ticket members? Did someone just buy to get access to All-Star? Probably, right? We know that. I think, there's a lot of people out there that would say the same thing. I just bought because I wanted to be able to get access to this one event. Totally fine. But when you go back and you think about your experience, was your experience enough to keep you interested, invested in Mariners baseball? And I think for us, that's the most important thing. So we have done, and we'll continue to do over the next couple of years of providing that unique experience at T-Mobile Park so that they feel just as, just a part of the organization as I would as an employee, but also that it's like, okay, we're winning. We made the postseason for the first time last year. Can we do it again this year, right? That will help to keep and retain people. We always say field play can push business big time, but experience and what you provide them on your day-to-day conversation is also going to push them to stay as well. So it's really a balance. We always, it's you can't guarantee the play on the field, but you can always guarantee the experience you provide your customers. And so for us, we have to spend time looking at it, right? Playoffs coming into 23, making the playoffs for the first time in, it's way too long. Help to secure some additional people to continue the push with us. All-Star has been a huge play for us this year. And so now we have to continue the winning and continue the playoff push so that we keep them and we keep them engaged.
What makes Seattle unique in terms of selling group tickets? How do you sell the city and how do you sell the organization to a customer? When I think of most other major league teams, they have history to rely on. They have ballparks, like Fenway and Wrigley, and Mariners aren't new by any means, but they aren't as established as a lot of those East Coast teams, and obviously not a lot of success in the past 20 years. And you talked about it recently. Winning definitely helps, and excitement on field helps. But when you're sitting down and talking to a customer about how their goals and your goals align, how are you approaching that conversation? How are you selling the Mariners?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we have a unique opportunity in that we're the only state that has we have a 5-state region around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, we're the closest team to in Idaho, Oregon, Alaska, right? You have that uniqueness where it's like, okay, if I want to go to a game, if I live in Boise, the closest game I'm driving to Seattle, right? And so with, is there history with the Mariners? Yes. Winning has, sure, provided a problem for some fans to make it to Seattle.
Sure.
But and I harp on the experience side of it, but it starts with the first phone call that is made to a customer, right? With any rep, with any salesperson is, how are you interacting with this person? Okay, great. You've got them in a good spot. They want to buy. You've got them on the hook. Now they're coming to the game. What is their experience like when they get to the gate with the ticket taker? What is the experience from the ticket taker to their seat, right? What is their concession experience? And so all of that, right? Winning or losing sometimes will not matter. It's all those nuances of the in-between and the experience that they have that will tell you they're coming back to a game because it was nothing but amazing. And I think it's, from our concession staff to our day of game staff to our front office staff, that is one goal that we have across the board. And every person that walks into this ballpark, we sell the experience, and the experience that you're going to getting to spend time with your friends or family, clients, right? Or just being a part of something special, a birthday party, a graduation, a retirement party. It's that experience that one individual has that they'll remember forever, and then they'll keep bringing them back.
Absolutely. It also helps have a beautiful ballpark. And T-Mobile Park.
It does.
T-Mobile
Can
Park
I be
is beautiful.
biased and say I think it's one of the best?
I think you deserve to
absolutely.
say that. Absolutely.
Here's just a kind of a small tangent. After I graduated high school, my parents bought out a suite for a graduation party.
Oh.
It was on an off day, but we had hot dogs and hamburgers and got to look over the park for a couple hours, and that was a really memorable experience for me. Just being at the park on a beautiful July day. So I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of selling that experience. You sold me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I can tell you my favorite experiences are sitting on the first base line in the 300 level, and I'm able to look on a sunny day, specifically when the roof is open, and being able to look out, see the Space Needle, see the Great Wheel, and just the Puget Sound. I think that's special, and not a lot of other cities or ballparks can do that.
Do you have any memorable? Excuse me.
That's Seattle for you. I mean, it is. It's I think there's no bad seat in this ballpark. Mm-hmm. I've sat in the 25th row of the 300 level on an off day, right? Just sitting there, just kind of thinking through, okay, what's the next plan? But it's a great experience to have, and it's an amazing ballpark for being as old as it is. It looks and feels new.
Mm-hmm.
So my
do you have any memorable
honestly,
experiences? You sit down and this is why I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I get that question a lot. Like if I bring people on field pregame, right? They say, "Oh, this must get old for you." But the fun part is you see it through someone else's eyes on a regular basis, right? Like the experience that you get to provide somebody that gets to throw out the first pitch, just gets to get a photo on field, or just gets to be down there for anything pregame related. You get to watch it through their eyes, and it becomes a whole new vision for you because it just invigorates and gets you to feel more joy for what that experience is that you get to give these fans that, yes. Can you take advantage of it to be like, okay, I'm here all the time. Woohoo, who cares? For sure. But the experience and the opportunities you give somebody else, and to be able to see it through their eyes makes it that much better, right? And between whether it's kids or grown adults, those grown adults become children very quickly when they get to touch that dirt, or they get to take a photo, or even just seeing the moose on field. It's a whole different experience for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Evan, if you have nothing else, I think prepared to move to our final question.
Yeah.
As a leader in the sports industry, what advice do you have for aspiring sports business students who are looking to pursue a career in baseball or just the broader sports industry?
For sure. Use your connections, right? Don't be afraid to, I think LinkedIn, as you guys stalked me, and I have to do better at updating my LinkedIn with my coaching career. I will update that immediately for you guys. Is reach out on LinkedIn, start having conversations, right? Learn more about the industry and think about, okay, I think I want to go into sales, or I think I want to go into marketing, but dig and do the research to understand what do these positions consist of. Have conversations with people, right? And it's not even just going like, if you looked me up, right, as a CWU alum and I'm a director, there's a manager under me, but there's also 8 reps under me that maybe are closer in age and can fully give you an experience and have a conversation of like, here was my experience, right? And here's what I would recommend. So spend time doing that. The flip side too is, I always say sports is fun and it's exciting, but it's also hard work, right? And don't think you're going into a sports field, whether it's in baseball, NBA, whatever it may be, it's going to be hard work. And it's not about, I get to interact with the players. It's about the impact that you make in the community and the community that you're a part of. And the other fun stuff just kind of falls into place. And I give a lot. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because all too often, too many people are afraid to reach out, right? To ask questions, to understand more. And they just apply for a job to apply for a job. But they don't know what the job actually is going to entail. So really take some time to consider what it is that you want to do. Research some of these jobs. Read through some of the job descriptions. And if there's something out there that you're like, I think this interests me, find somebody that does something similar on LinkedIn. Right? Connect with them to understand what does the day-to-day look like, and what do they have to do to be successful, right? And is it truly, as you read that job description, what you think the job is?
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we've got for you today, Liz. This was great, and I really appreciate you booking out an hour of your time to come and chat with us.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or mention?
I don't think so.
Go
When
Mariners.
are you guys coming back to T-Mobile Park?
Ooh, I'm going to be there on the 24th when they're taking on the A's. Me and my buddies are just going to go for one kind of hoorah before we split up for the summer.
I don't got a next scheduled game for me, but I know I'll be there for 3 or 4 of them sometime over the summer. For sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we're excited. We're excited about all the things happening here. And, if you're ever here, feel free to reach out. Let me know. I'd be happy to come down and say hello. Or if you need a couple of tickets, feel free to send me an email.
Cool. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so
much, Liz.
Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
And that was our interview with Liz McCloskey, Director of Sales Development and Group Sales with the Seattle Mariners. Really fun interview. I was very happy we got the chance to talk with her.
Absolutely. I mean, my first takeaway was about her way she talked about professional development. She mentioned that a lot of times, specifically LinkedIn, which I know will make Sean Dahlin very happy. I mean, she didn't really have the opportunity to do something like the Northwest Center for Sport or have the connections while she was here as a student.
She talked about her time at Central where she fought for herself. You know, Central not being really around anything, creating connections, coaching, and then having to step away from coaching. And where does that line fall between professional and loving what you're doing? And it sounds like she's loving what she's doing a lot right now.
She paved her own way, and going from winning a state title at Bainbridge Island or Bainbridge High School, and loving that. And she said that it was one of her hardest professional decisions ever was stepping away from that team, because you always will have a class of seniors. They are always your team, and there's obviously never a right time to step away. So,
but she said she had a connection, someone that she was in contact with the Mariners, and got her that internship and entry level role, and just started to climb that ladder for them. And now she's making an impact in the city of Seattle, trying to bring non-baseball fans to become Mariner fans, which is very, very cool. I love what she's doing. I love that she's aspiring to get non-baseball fans to love baseball and just excited about the game, especially Seattle.
I think it's how you do it too, because baseball fans will always love baseball. Baseball is baseball. I'll always go to a Mariners game, a few of them a year, for as long as I live in the Pacific Northwest. And even when I return here, I will probably always make it part of my agenda to come to a Mariners game. But targeting those people that aren't Mariners fans or aren't baseball fans, I think it's a smart way to view getting more people in the ballpark. And like you said, winning helps. Mariners are a lot better now than they were a decade and a half ago.
Yeah. KL and Liz both kind of mentioned it, where they don't have a lot to do with the on-field production, whether it's the personnel in KL's situation where it's a rotating door of players, or Liz's situation where Mariners haven't been winning for a while, and their focus is retention, bringing people in, getting them excited about the facilities, about the events, about the giveaways, getting those niche markets. She was talking about Hello Kitty a little bit. The collectors, I know that they're having a pop collection kind of going the past couple years with Felix, JP, Griffey. They're doing stuff with bobbleheads. Bobbleheads have been big forever, and so she's looking at all the data, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and what a level to do it at with the Mariners.
Absolutely.
The highest you can go almost.
And obviously there's a buzz surrounding the Mariners. There's no
Which
secret.
Helps.
Yeah.
She said it, winning helps.
Winning helps. I mean, the ballpark's beautiful.
Winning fixes a lot of problems.
Winning fixes a lot of things. Well, I mean, this is our last podcast. The second podcast of the year, but it's our last one as we approach the end of the school year.
Liz was a great interview. Glad we got to talk.
Liz was a great interview. For those listening, we'll be back in the fall. We're happy we were able to get this started, interviewing KL and Liz this spring.
Make sure to give a follow and like down below.
Make sure you follow CWU NWCS on Twitter. Look up the Northwest Center for Sport on LinkedIn and YouTube.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode for the Northwest Center for Sport podcast.
My name's Sean Bessette.
My name is Evan Bates.
And we'll see you next time.